Hi, we're back here at CHAIRBOYS Chat, episode 2. We've got a few things to discuss. Number one, Wycombe Wanderers at Nottingham Forest. We have Liverpool at Manchester City. And we have the strange list of the top 6 in the Premier League. And also where all the teams are, that the 3 teams that came down out the Premiership and the 3 teams that came up, and the difference that's going on there. Okay, let's start with Wycombe. Nottingham Forest.
What were your thoughts? Let's start with, because you actually watched the game, and then I'll give mine.
My thoughts were Wycombe did very well, very equal in play, differences, finishing class, and that is just making such a difference. Their striker, I spoke about him on my match program that I do.
Prediction, yeah.
Taylor, wasn't it?
Taylor.
Yeah, he's different class.
He's one of those who can't just finish anything he wants, really, at any given time.
Didn't see him in the game particularly, didn't need to. I think he had 3 chances, 2 of which he put in the net. How many chances do we get? I think we had 6 or 7, didn't put any in the net.
We had a few I saw on the YouTube thing.
Akinfenwa again had his chances, and people say unlucky. How many chances do you have that are unlucky?
I think the only reason people say he's unlucky is because he has to fight for every chance that he has, doesn't he? In terms of a wrestling match. But then he should, realistically, he needs to score a few, doesn't he?
Yeah, you can't walk away saying, bad luck. Well, you've got to score. We don't have enough chances to walk away and say, bad luck. He's got to put them in the net.
Yeah.
It's great to say, well, don't we look better with him? Well, fine, but he's got to still score a goal. Don't matter about what we look like.
I suppose the argument that when he is on the pitch, we're close to scoring as opposed to when he's not on it.
Yeah,
which might be a point. And all our problem is just being able to finish those chances, whether it's Kashket or Akinfenwa.
It also worries me that we can't score without. We don't even get those chances without him. That how much better we look with him. That worries me a little bit. He's 38.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to survive like this for maybe a season if we survive.
What do we do next season if we survive?
Yeah, you'd like to think that Ainsworth has some sort of plan. But in saying this, we still have our striker to come back. Or has he always been on the bench? The guy
he wasn't on the bench. He twisted his ankle during the week.
Of course he did.
This was his big chance, wasn't it? And playing Wheeler up front is a waste of space, really. That isn't his position.
Oh, was he up front?
Yeah, and they were saying, funny because he normally wins the headers, but he normally wins the headers with the fullbacks, not with the centre-backs.
Yeah.
He can't win the headers with the centre-backs.
It's a different ball game with that, isn't it?
Yeah. So that was no good. That was a waste of space, really. That didn't work.
In all fairness, I think it's one of those games that we played well. It's not going to kill our season, is it?
No.
It's like it's not the worst thing in the world.
No.
And we were kind of due a loss, if that makes any sense. But
yeah. Okay,
that's what it is.
That's the Wycombe game. Okay, now we move on, and I think we'll move on to stay in the same league. All right.
Go for it.
So this is the way it works. In the top 4 of this league are the 3 teams that came down. Okay. So they're picking up all the wins. That those top 3, Reading, by the way, are at the top
as well.
Reading, but Reading won everything to start with and have lost the last 3 games. I think Reading have found where they really should be and are heading down. Okay, I don't think they're going to be up there for very much longer.
They normally come in the bottom half anyway, don't they?
They weren't expected to come top. They're doing a sort of Sheffield Wednesday for the whole of last season. And Sheffield Wednesday have now found their place where they probably should be. But I think Reading did it for a sort of, 7-8 games, had a big shock start, and everyone going, wow, aren't Reading doing well? And have now found their place in that they should be going down to mid-table. And then the 3 teams that came down, they're just going to win it. What a waste of time. They're not good enough in the Premier League, but they're better than the teams in the Championship. Isn't that daft? I mean, what a waste of time.
Who is it? It's Watford, Norwich and Bournemouth.
Yeah, they do it in different ways. Norwich defend really well and grab a goal. Watford up front are brilliant. Since they just outscore other teams. They've got 4 good strikers sat there, and almost the same with Bournemouth. They almost do the same, but they're not good enough. They've either got good front or a good back. They don't have both. That's why they're no good in the Premier League. They're better in the Championship than most teams, but it's not enough. And it's almost like a waste. So now next year, I don't think it's ever happened, but I've just got a horrible feeling that you're going to have the 3 teams that came down go up, and the 3 teams that came up go down.
That would be a shame, wouldn't it?
That is a very good possibility, because if you look where Coventry, Rotherham and Wycombe are...
Yeah, they're not far off, are they?
You've got Sheffield Wednesday, who are only there because they lost 6 points. They got given 6 points back.
Yeah.
But they're only there because of that. And you've got Derby, who are having a nightmare of a season, but they've got to replace that manager. They've just been bought out or being bought out. They will not want that team. In comes Pulis, would be my guess. They'll pick somebody like him.
Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, they'll pick one of the sort of... They would go for Mick McCarthy, would be my guess. But I think he's just gone off to a different country to...
Isn't he Republic of Ireland manager?
He
might have been.
He's gone off to Cyprus, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
But otherwise, he'd be
he'd be there.
He'd be straight there, wouldn't he? But he will be. They will have. My guess will be Pulis or somebody. It will be in there, and they must go up. If you look at the players, they cannot stay. The only reason they can stay where they are is if they pick the completely wrong manager that is even worse.
Yeah.
And I can't believe they're going to take any type of risk. So what we're talking about is the really big chance of the bottom 3 at the bottom.
Yeah. Because it's not like Nottingham Forest aren't going to get out of it either, is it? They're the ones in between.
The only team that I think can save one of us is QPR.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd say they're still... Well, I suppose we'd say this with any of the teams, but I'd say they're still too big a team to go down as well.
Who?
QPR. They're a massive team as well. And the problem is, if I go up the league and have a look at the ones I could expect to go down, Millwall are 9th, Luton are 10th, Brentford are 11th, Preston are 14th. These teams have got points.
Yeah,
and it looks like they're doing all right.
Preston are a bit of a funny team. They're very... Is it away games they win and home games they lose? Isn't it very 50-50?
I mean, they have lost more games than they've won, but they are 14th still.
Yeah. The only bonus to Wycombe is that those top 3 are going to beat everybody.
Yes.
Therefore, we won't need as many points, and we can hope that they beat all the teams around us as well.
Yeah, but the thing is that you say that Watford have won only 6 of their 11 games, which of course is good, but like it's about half.
I think they're finding themselves, though. I think they're getting.
You think?
I hope. We need those 3 teams to help
destroy
us
everyone
by beat everybody else.
Yeah,
except us.
We'll get a point or 2 against them. Whereas
that's what we need.
Yeah.
That's what we need. But I just think if this is the case, there's something wrong with the Football League.
You think?
If the 3 teams that came down go up and the 3 teams that came up go down, that tells me there's something wrong and it is money. In the end, that is money, and I just think that shouts there's something wrong. That doesn't work with the teams that go down from the Championship.
No,
it's not quite as bad. That seems to level itself off fairly well. That
teams normally struggle, don't they?
They do. You'll get 1 maybe or 2 that sort of get into the playoffs, but you don't end up with them coming straight back up again. That doesn't work like that, and that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what you'd hope should happen.
Because the top of one league should be very even to the bottom of the other. But where Bournemouth were desperate in the Premier League and they looked superstars in the Championship, there's a problem.
Well, if you talk about their star players sort of thing, Bournemouth lost Callum Wilson, Brian Fraser, like really big players. Norwich and Watford got to keep all theirs.
But no, Norwich lost a few.
Did they?
Yeah.
I think they kept the majority of their like really big players, like Cantwell, who was always tipped to go to a decent team. Wendia.
Sort of half of them, but they kept a decent goalkeeper as well.
And a decent goalkeeper. And Watford's obviously had Ismaila Sarr, who was going to go for 50 million odds.
Yeah.
And he's in the Championship.
But they kept their 4 front players that they can now rotate, who are better than most Championship forwards.
They're miles in front.
The only decent one knocking around that's anywhere near, I have to say, is Tony from
Peterborough. Well, he was at Peterborough.
He's now at
Brentford.
Yeah, he looked. And the other one that looks pretty good, of course, is Armstrong. He scored against us, didn't he? In the 5-0 Blackburn Rovers. Armstrong looks pretty decent as well. But so write your thoughts about what should happen with this. How do they sort this out? Is it money? I mean, I presume that's the only thing they can do to change things. Wycombe could not afford to improve their team when they came up. And nor could Coventry, and nor could Rotherham. And therefore, we're fighting teams that came out of the Premier League. Just to say also, I have to say this for Paul's sake, Derby. Oh my goodness. Do you know, they had 750 passes and never had 1 shot on goal. 750 passes and never had a shot on goal.
That's insane.
It's insane. Isn't that incredible? 70% of possession.
How can they have that and they still have Rooney in their team and not be able to get a shot? Isn't
that incredible? What does that tell you about back passes? Yeah,
and possession and all that.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Yeah.
Well done, Derby.
Okay, next one then, Liverpool.
Yeah, watch this one, obviously.
So did I.
You know what? Considering how well we played in the first half, we should have finished them off then, so that they didn't have a chance to even get us in the second half. Because we had numerous chances, didn't we, in the first half? Not necessarily with shots, but we had 3-on-3s and 4-on-3s and that sort of thing where we just picked the wrong pass. Although we do always pass, that's my problem. We never shoot from outside the box. Like the person never takes it upon themselves to.
Well, Mane should have had at least.
Mane should have done. I don't understand why he didn't. It was a bit tight, the angle, but like of someone of his speed, and I would have thought he'd be able to. But then we definitely dropped off in the second half, didn't we?
Oh yes.
We were pretty poor.
Why? Why did they drop off?
Well, you imagine that Man City made a tactical change somewhere so that the block that we had in the first half just didn't work. I loved our block in the first half. It was really good to watch, I think, because you could see that we had Firmino and Salah in the middle blocking off Rodri.
Yeah.
And then they had to go wide, in which we had Jota and Mane, and they wouldn't really get out that much. The one time they did, they scored. And the other time they did, they got a penalty, which, thank goodness, De Bruyne missed.
Yes, it was, though. It was. In today's rules, I mean, whether you agree with them or you don't agree with them, it was always going to be given, that one.
It's so dumb. Like, I'm sorry, they're just not a penalty. It's just never a penalty.
How do you even out the rules, though? How do you do it? Either it's every time it hits your arm, wherever your arm is, it doesn't matter, that's a penalty. And you say, well, that's not fair, that's not fair, that's not fair. But at least everybody knows the rules.
Yeah, but then you can't run.
If it's on purpose, now there's a difficult one, because that is very, very
subjective.
Yeah, and everybody will argue that one. He meant to do it. No, he didn't. That one's very difficult. If it's his arm away from the body, it's going to be, but he needs to use his arm to get him up in the air. If it's blocking the goal, then yeah, but he was going to pass it to somebody who's standing in front of the goal when it's an open goal. I mean, you can't win.
I think they're too wound up in like the words they use in the rules. It's like before it was deliberate. No one ever means to deliberately handball it, in my opinion, unless you're like Suarez in the World Cup.
Especially with you could get away with that once upon a time, but you can't now.
No,
because you used to be able to sort of hide using your hand to push the ball away, but you can't get away with that now.
I think in all, it's just common sense more than anything. Me and you.
Common sense.
I know they can't write that in the rules, can they? Me and you can say
common sense. Yeah.
Me and you can say whatever about a handball, and I would think that 80% of football fans would agree. Because it's just common sense if something's a handball or not. We know the one yesterday wasn't. And I just think it's as simple as that. But then they can't say that because you can't exactly write that in the rules, which is just irritating.
Well, I think you've had that. Common sense.
I think they do have to change it to what it was before.
What was that?
I'm assuming it was the deliberate handball one.
You think that would help?
I think it'd be better than what it is now. I think it's it's more of an issue now than it was before. They've changed it now.
Because they can watch it in slow motion and keep going back to it. That's not because of the rules.
That was something. I wouldn't say VAR's the problem. No, because they definitely changed the handball rule. VAR isn't the problem.
No, they changed it to try to help with the VAR system, because now you can see it hit his arm every time, and then you've got to say why. Was it he was blocking it? Was it stopping a goal? Was it deliberate? You're gonna have to make a rule, and you can't. There's not a perfect answer to that. No. The perfect answer is you take away VAR, and if it's deliberate, which is what it used to be, because then then it's just pure, I didn't see it, says the referee.
That was something that Gomez said yesterday, wasn't it? He said anyone can go have a look at a camera and watch it in slow motion and see it hit my arm, but watch it in real time and realise that I have no time to move my arm, even though it hit his elbow pretty close to his body. His arm was out here, it didn't actually hit him there. It hit him on the elbow, which would have been there anyway, because that's where he's running. And so there's nothing he can do about it in the time he had.
What about then stopping slow motion VAR? So all the referee can do, so all the referee can do is watch it again and again at full speed ahead.
In full speed ahead, in like a zoomed in view, not from like the perspective that we get.
Would that help? Because surely you can judge tackles a bit better than that as well. Because in slow motion, tackles look like they're all meant to break his leg. Whereas if you see it all at 100% speed, you will actually see that, well, maybe he didn't mean to.
It's like slow motion makes it assume that is what is like the real thing, whereas it's really not.
And also, it would clear up quite a bit of the offside as well.
Oh, that would be funny if they did that. Get rid of the lines?
Well, you get rid of the lines and you only see it at full speed.
Yeah.
Because then you wouldn't see that offside. He wouldn't know.
No.
He'd only see the line, wouldn't he? And if he thought that bit was, he's never going to give it.
So that's another thing that's got to change as well, isn't it? About those offsides.
Which player was it that was pointing to where
Bamford?
So he wasn't allowed to point where he wanted the ball.
It was the most ludicrous thing I've ever seen. Like, it's so bad. Like it was a perfectly good goal. It was really good, to be fair to him. And then he's like, "Oh, his point is so."
Okay,
it's bad.
And the last issue then has to be the teams look a bit on the strange side in that league, don't they?
They do a bit. Let me get the table up.
Again, we've got all the bottom look like the bottom. Other than
with Man United there as well.
Yeah, man. There's a. I mean, what a strange. I'm just looking it up on my phone. The standings where they all are. If we have a look at that, you've got Sheffield United, Burnley and West Brom at the bottom. No shock there.
No, that's fair.
Above them, you've got Fulham, Brighton, Leeds. No shock there. They're all the ones that are sort of... Well, I mean, Leeds have got 10 points, but then you've got Brighton with only 6, Fulham 4, West Brom 3.
Yeah,
there's your fight, I think. Your Brighton, Fulham, West Brom, Burnley. Sheffield United, as far as I'm concerned, are down. I don't think there's going to be a question about that. I'm not sure. I think Burnley might get out of it and Fulham go down. Might be a bit. I mean, the rest sort of in the middle. Yeah, I get your Leeds, your Newcastle, West Ham's, Wolves, Crystal Palace.
Yeah, they're normal.
Yeah, they're normal. And then we got a couple of surprise ones down the bottom, haven't we? We got your Manchester United, Arsenal, and Manchester City in the middle. Are they going to get out of there?
I mean, you'd expect Man United to, wouldn't you? At some point, they've got to, surely. I think
only with a new manager will they stand a hope, and they'll do their normal. They'll get a new manager in. They'll suddenly play brilliant because all their brilliant players will start playing brilliant, and therefore pick up all the points until they start to slump again because the owners seem to bring that along.
The thing is, if you're the Man United owners, I cannot believe that you're sitting there and thinking that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to bring you 2 or 3 Premier League titles, which is surely what they want.
I don't know what they think.
Like, what do they want him to do? Because he's not going to do that, and it's pretty evident he's not going to do that.
And then you've got Arsenal and City on 12 points. So in theory, they are only 4 points out of the top 4, aren't they? They're not that far behind. I mean, they're only 6 points behind Leicester, both of them. And City do have a game in hand, so they'll only be 3 points off the top.
City will get back up there.
Yeah.
Arsenal look poor, don't they? They really do.
Well, they sort of come and go, don't they?
Well, because last season they had Aubameyang scoring all their goals. Has he scored any this year? I generally can't think of how many goals he's actually scored. It says he's got 4. I don't know whether that's all competitions. But, yeah, he doesn't really seem to be doing a lot, Aubameyang, which is who they rely on largely.
The so-called sort of top 6, all that argument about, we want a European league, because we're so much better than everybody else, that's a load of rubbish, isn't it? I mean, this year's showing that they really aren't that much.
Oh, what, the project big picture thing?
They're not that much better than all the others. Not this year. They had a couple of years. And now you've got Leicester are certainly in there with a shout.
Leicester are a pretty big team now, as long as they can keep backing it up.
I think Chelsea look come and go.
Chelsea come and go. Although Chelsea's only loss has been to Liverpool in saying that.
Yeah. They just look a bit worrying to me. I don't know. And Southampton, I really rate Southampton. I think
they look fantastic,
really good, don't they?
They do.
It's their problem is injury. I think they've got to make sure their top guys don't get injured. I don't think they've got a squad to change it.
Ings has a bit of a tendency to get injured, doesn't he?
He does, and so that worries me. I think they're really reliable on just a few players. Does the same apply for Tottenham, really?
Well, I say this they talk about how injuries would affect certain teams. It would affect everyone. I'm sorry. If you lose your best player or a couple of best players, then it's going to affect you in a huge way. And
Tottenham,
to Tottenham,
Son goes.
Son and Kane go, then that's
the
done.
End of that, isn't it?
Yeah. Liverpool so far have been able to cope with Van Dijk a bit, although we do look ropey a bit.
Although I think Matip, I think he. I mean, if you count the amount of passes to Manchester City rather than Liverpool, I think he passed it to Manchester City more often than he did Liverpool players. Honestly, I really think that every time he had the ball, he just passed it to City. And I thought, that's dreadful.
I didn't really notice until you texted me that, and then I realised, he does look quite ropey, actually.
I thought he was dodgy, really dodgy.
I thought that was the same with De Bruyne. I thought De Bruyne didn't want to be there. He had a
dreadful game.
He was awful.
He was.
He was really bad.
I think missing the penalty probably didn't help. He just looked, I don't know, cold.
Kind of tit, yeah.
Yeah, just wanting to go
just
over.
Want to go over, yeah.
Sit next to the fire. Yeah, have a whiskey. Aston Villa.
They've got to die down at some point, haven't they? Although, in saying that, Barkley and Grealish are literally running those games that they're playing in. But somehow...
Grealish always does, doesn't he?
Grealish always runs the game, to be fair to him. But Barkley looks to have found a team that he's actually, really suited to. And they look really good.
There won't be any fight this year to get relegation, will there?
What, for Aston Villa? No. They've already got half the number of points they need to stay up.
Yeah.
So, no, they'll be fine.
Yeah. So, I know you want Liverpool to... What do you reckon your top 4 then? Now, that's changed. Just changed game in, game out, I reckon.
Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Tottenham, in no particular order, because I don't have a clue.
You don't have a clue?
No.
Do you know, I'd love to see Southampton get 4th.
That would be great. That would be fantastic.
It would, and I simply to mess up the so-called top six. I think they've got a right to be up there. Just like I'd love to see. Yeah, I mean that's it. I get a bit bored with.
You love a good underdog, don't you?
I do, but that's because I'm a Wycombe fan. I'm used to being an underdog.
Yeah.
So, no, it's. I think it's the sort of the whole we have a right to be up there just because we're the best, and it's not that. I mean, Tottenham I like to see do well. Yeah, but Southampton, I mean, I like West Ham as well. I quite like West Ham. But yeah, so there we go. So we're predicting Sheffield, Burnley, and West Brom, or
I reckon Fulham will get in there for Burnley.
Yeah, so do I. So there we go. If anybody's got any comments on that, please write your so-called top four. Please write who you think are going down, and any other comments. Please keep it clean. Remember, this is we're not no sort of horrible, stupid, ha, hope you lose sort of comments. Don't need them, thanks.
Family friendly we are, aren't we?
Yeah. We love all the teams, really, don't we? And I'll probably put sort of roughly where we are in which conversation with a time on it later. And okay, then. Thank you very much.
Yeah.